All right, man. Well, appreciate you taking the time again. Obviously, we spoke on the phone and did a little Zoom to kind of practice this a little bit and talk a little about your career, my career at Wake Forest. But I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down in St. Louis with me and just really go over a little bit about your backstory, your soccer career, and kind of how you and I met.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, this is Chris Duvall. We played at Wake Forest University together, played soccer down there, and then Chris played in the MLS for a little bit as well. Very decorated career, phenomenal outside back, and one of my better friends from Wake Forest. So appreciate your time, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for coming out here to brave the cold and do this with me.
It's ridiculous out here, man. I'm from Cleveland, from Chicago, as most of you know, but I've been living in Arizona for the past couple months here. St. Louis is what, 10 degrees right now?
Yeah, it's freezing.
It's ridiculous. So not what I'm used to at the moment, but really appreciate the time. So without further ado, just wanted to jump in. Obviously, soccer is a big part of your life. How did you find it, and what made you fall in love with that game?
Yeah, I started playing. I have an older brother that's 6 years older than me. So as soon as I could walk, I was at the soccer field with him, going to his games and playing with him. So, um, he was always the coolest person I ever knew. So I wanted to do what he was doing. Wanted to get better to impress him or to beat him because then that would make him think I was cool. So that was how I fell in love with it. Fell in love with the process of getting better because I'd always want to do something that I could show my brother and hopefully impress him.
Absolutely. So competitive edge to start with, two brothers kind of going at it. Was there a moment kind of growing up that you took it as your own? You're like, hey, this is going to be my thing and really what I want, to dream about, to basically become a pro, or did that kind of start early?
Yeah, we always like playing in the front yard. Would imagine we were playing for the U.S. national team and playing together. Duvall passes to Duvall, who passes to Duvall and scores. But my brother ended up being a pretty ridiculous track athlete.
Okay.
He won, I want to say, 11 or 12 state titles in different events. And he ran in college. And so when I was, with him being 6 years older, by the time I got to high school, everyone was like, "Are you gonna run track? Are you gonna run cross country?" And I did a little bit, but by wanting to now create my own path, I was like, "No, I'm a soccer player.
Mm.
I'm not a runner like him. That was my brother's thing. I'm the soccer player." So that was kind of when I decided to fully set myself apart and be like, "No, this is my path.
For sure.
I'm going for this thing that we started when we were little."
So high school, roughly, like right before high school, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Were you playing kind of club, and you're from Atlanta, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Atlanta. I played club soccer. Um, I mean, nothing truly special there. I think my club team was good, um, but yeah, that I don't think was a huge piece of the pathway.
No? Okay.
Yeah,
So interesting, because I think a lot of people look at the clubs and the academies that they play for now and think that it's going to be a conveyor belt to a prime time college career. Obviously, my pathway is a little bit different as well, but tell me kind of how you found. Obviously, we went to Wake Forest. How did you find that? How did you find your high school career to be? Were there politics you had to get over? Tell me through, or take me through your story a little bit.
yeah. So I back then ODP, the Olympic Development Program, was huge,
Mhm.
and that was like the only pathway to the national team. Um, and so I did that forever and never. I made the Georgia State All Star team, state ODP team,
Mhm.
and could never make it past that level. I probably had 15, 20 teammates that made it to the region team and the national team, but never me.
Why do you think that is?
Um, Honestly, I think there's various reasons. At the time, it felt like favoritism or felt like politics or whatever, but looking back, I was really small.
Okay.
Um, and I always was the hardest worker, but I was always trying to work to be as good as everyone else, just to keep up with the people that I was around, the people that were getting selected. I wanted to be able to do the things that they could do, and I would try to steal things from their game and go on my own and work on them.
Mm.
And I think realistically, I was probably good, but not great. And then by doing this work and stealing from everyone, then eventually I got to the point that,
So
it took me
extra
somewhere.
work leads to results realistically. You
Yeah.
take what you're deficient at, what everyone's telling you you're struggling with, and you go work on it and become better, which is not crazy. Like that's what
Yeah.
you should be doing to become a professional athlete.
Yeah.
When did you decide that? Because obviously, like there's in my opinion, there's one point where every player has to look themselves in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm being told I'm not good enough. I'm going to have to go put more work in. How badly do I want this? Did you have that conversation with yourself, or did you kind of like make that decision at some point?
Um, I don't think it was ever like a moment.
Okay.
I think it was a lot about my upbringing. My parents always told me that, I mean, a couple things. My mom always told me to work your hardest, do your best because you never know who's watching. So even in the moments where you think you're by yourself, you're giving it your everything because you have no idea what opportunity could be around the corner.
Exactly.
On the other side of it, my dad would always tell me that life isn't fair. We shouldn't really believe in fair as a concept, and that I'm going to have to work twice as hard as everyone else to get half of what they have.
Who do you think you listen to more between those two?
I think they go together pretty well, the concepts at least,
No,
you know?
I would
Like,
agree. Yeah.
so I'm probably more like my dad.
Okay.
Um, but hearing that from both of them my whole life, it was just like someone tells me no or someone tells me I'm not good enough, and it's like, yeah, I kind of expected that,
Hmm.
you know? So then I'm gonna go work to prove that I can get what everyone else has. And I think over the course of a lifetime that it ends up just adding up because you don't get put down by the nose and you get reinforced in your ideas that, yeah, I expected this. I'm going to have to work way harder than everyone else just to get to where they're at. And naturally, I'm sure that just eventually adds up to the point where I end up surpassing some of those people.
100%. I do believe the cliche saying of talent of hard work beats talent every single time. And
Yeah.
I do think that that's been apparent in your career moving forward, both on and off the field. But take me through kind of the Wake Forest recruiting process. How did that go for you? Everyone's looking for big time schools, top 5 schools, ACC schools. They want to be known. When you and I were playing, Instagram was just coming up. No one really
Yeah.
paid attention to the social media. Now you look at players right now; they've got 15,000 followers and NIL money coming in, and what parents how do they know how to like where to send their kids moving forward. It's a completely different world. But what did you kind of go through to get to your professional career?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, the game is so different and it's constantly changing. But for me, a few of my teammates were already, my team went to nationals. Like we were a good team.
Mhm.
We weren't the best, but we were a good team. And Wake Forest was already recruiting a couple of players on my team. Um, so they had seen us play, but never noticed me. They weren't recruiting me. I was getting recruited by like College of Charleston and some smaller schools.
Does that light a fire under you at all?
I was pumped that anyone wanted me.
Okay.
So I was like, I was going to College of Charleston so bad. I was like, this place is amazing. That's where I want to be. They're the only ones that want me. I'm all in on College of Charleston.
Gotcha.
And then we had a soccer tournament, one weekend, and we went up a day early to get a scrimmage in before the tournament, and it was in North Carolina. And the story that I was told was that Steph Hamilton was the coach for the team, and I had a I had a great game. I had a couple goals, couple assists. We beat the brakes off this team, and Steph, I guess, told the Wake coaches that they needed to recruit me, and it was as simple as that. So then they came and started watching our games specifically to watch me, and I think that ended up attracting them. But
For sure.
I was never the guy that they're just watching a bunch of games, and I would stick out like some of my teammates that they were already recruiting.
So very similar experience for myself. Like, did not have the big name. Like,
Mhm.
obviously you went through this high school. There's Mr. Soccer from Ohio, or Mr. Soccer All American Gatorade All American Player of the Year is what it's called now, I think, where everyone has this big background in this name and everyone's like, oh, they're really good. I never had that. Similar to
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
Was always overlooked, but always kind of filled the need of being a good goalkeeper. And it's like, okay, well, we'll play him because we need a goalkeeper. And then
Mhm.
eventually it's like, he's actually pretty solid. I found I put my head down, went to work. I worked with a crazy Romanian goalkeeper coach that my mom met at the airport, and he basically taught me how to be a goalkeeper in his backyard. The most unconventional type of training you can possibly find because it's not with the full team,
Mhm.
but you learn the game, you put your head down like you said, and then eventually you pick your head up, and all of those people around you are no longer in the same league as you
Mhm.
because that work paid off. Is that kind of what you found at Wake, or did you kind of have a rude awakening freshman year?
um, I think I had that feeling at every stage of my career, but I didn't notice that it was there. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of
Would you say
sense.
it's after the fact? Like once you come
Yeah.
in, you come into whether it's high school or to Wake Forest, I'm assuming as a pro, and you're a small fish in a big pond again. And
Mhm.
then you grow and become, hey, I'm the man. I'm big man on campus now. Like I'm the number one goalkeeper. I'm the starting outside back for the Demon Deacons.
Yeah.
You're the man, right? And then you get drafted and you're back to being just a minnow in a big pond and you have to grow again. So that process of growth, I think, is what we're really trying to dive into here. Is that kind of what you experienced in high school and then later on in college?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I got to Wake, I I remember my first week calling my mom and being like, we had this decision before I went to Wake. Do you want to be a big fish in a little pond at College of Charleston, or do you want to be a little fish at a big pond at Wake Forest? And
Yeah.
I chose Wake, and I remember calling my mom and being like, "This is a huge mistake. These guys are way too good. I'm never gonna be able to play here. Like, this
I'm
is
laughing because I
ridiculous."
had the same phone call with my mom.
Yeah.
What'd she tell you? Because I had the same.
It was just like "It's okay. You're gonna be fine." She's my mom. She's supposed
Yeah.
to tell me like, "Oh no, you're great. Like, you're gonna do fine." And every day I'm just like, she has no idea what she's talking about. These guys are way too good.
Well, talk to me about that. The transition from high school club ball to college. Obviously, the pace is completely different, but you're also playing with people that are 4 years older than you or 3 years older than you at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're fully developed grown men at this point, where it's you've got to change your game a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there was just in every aspect of the game, it was something I'd never been exposed to, and it was just like a deer in the headlights. And these guys were fast. I was always the fastest, so they were faster than me. They were stronger than me. Their technical ability was better than mine, and I felt like almost in over my head because the things that I was good at, I wasn't the best at those things anymore. So all of the work I had done to pick up things from other people and surpass people in every attribute, it's like, well, now I'm starting from scratch because everyone's better than me at everything.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it was not my favorite time in my career because I don't think I've ever felt that far out of my depth as I did that first semester at Wake.
For sure. No, I felt the exact same way. I mean, I get brought in the same year as a kid named Andrew Harris, who's a All American goalkeeper in high school, and then there's a junior slash senior named Michael Lish, who's also an All American goalkeeper in college. And then you're walking into Jay Vidovich's office, and he's just looking at you like you're not good enough to be here. It is a very intimidating environment. It
Yeah,
truly is, in my opinion, sink or swim. It's
yeah,
one of those like, okay, someone's coming for my dream right now. I've had this dream since I was 4.
mm,
I want to be a professional athlete. This is what I have to do. I will be the first person in the training room, the last person to leave it, and eventually that pays off. For me, it paid off with a captaincy, first team All American, and then the first goalkeeper drafted. For you, it paid off with an incredible MLS career. Tell me how you found that because there are so many kids out here right now that are trying to find how to make that happen. You're coaching half of them. I'm
yeah,
coaching a bunch of them too. They all want that.
yeah.
What's the key?
I think the key is enjoying short-term goals over the long term. Like, yes, being a pro soccer player is the end goal. There is no shortcut, and there's no catch-all that's gonna be like, if you do X, you will get Y. It doesn't
Correct.
exist.
Correct.
You have to fall in love with the process. So I know that when I got to Wake Forest, the most technical player around me was Ross Tomaselli. So anytime Ross wanted to go do extra work to improve his technical ability, I told him, "You call me. I will be there every single time." Because if I can steal from Ross and I can work when Ross is working, and then I can also work when I know Ross isn't working, well, then I can close that gap. You
You've
know?
compounded yourself completely. Like
Yeah.
you're a complete different player because of that.
Yeah.
Tell me more on just in general that growth period of freshman year to senior year. You come in as a freshman. Yes, you're stealing from everyone you possibly can. You're absorbing all of this energy as much as possible. But eventually, it's got to go into a different avenue, and you have to be the performer. You can no longer be, hey, I'm calling Ross, get me better. It's, I am the Ross Tomaselli now. I am the senior. And for me, it was you. I was always calling you or Ugo or any other striker to be like, hey, yeah, come take shots. I'll
Mhm.
see what I can get done. So tell me what flips. When do you get that confidence? Is there one moment throughout the entire process at Wake Forest, or is it an overall just growth period? And I also want to hammer in on this. You said just now you fall in love with the process.
Mhm.
For me, the best part of Wake Forest soccer was summer league,
Mhm.
right? I can see the smile on your face. The
Yeah.
summer, getting the speaker out there, going out there with your boys. No one's watching. There's nobody out there. There's no accolades or anything. You're just out there having a good time. That was my favorite part. That's where I think we got better in
Mhm.
general. So falling in love with the process isn't always going to be scoring the game winner, making the game time or big time save to win the game. It's found in those little moments right there, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, you asked when that confidence happened to like, okay, I'm taking this jump. I'm going to be a professional soccer player. That confidence never hit me until it was like year 3 of my professional career.
Let me
You know?
rephrase that. Let me rephrase that career because I would agree. I would assume that. When did the confidence hit you of I'm no longer a freshman here?
Yeah.
I'm no longer texting Ross or Jared Watts or anybody else to be like, hey, let me go get better. I'm now getting these text messages from freshmen and sophomores. They're looking at me as like that guy.
Yeah.
And not just looking at you, you're filling that role because I was the guy texting you.
Yeah.
You're the guy that is now leading that. But you didn't start there.
Yeah. I think that moment came it was that summer right before senior year.
Okay.
In those days where we did the summer, the pickup and we're training on our own and we're just having a good time. I was always so scared and nervous of Coach Jay, our college coach, that I was
Why?
never confident and relaxed. And yeah, I was so scared to make a mistake. I had to do everything perfect. I had to be a perfectionist or else I was done. And so summer was where I got to truly express myself. And it was like, this is free. There's no repercussions other than losing
Mhm.
when you are out there with the guys. And by the way, I want bragging rights over all of them. And so I remember we would do like kickball selection. There would be 3 captains and they would pick the teams for the day. And when you see the teams, you try to figure out, okay, he probably picked him first. He probably picked him second. I was probably like 3rd or 4th pick. And I remember at one point I had won like 5, 6 days in a row. And I was like bragging to Ross about like my team won again, and he was like, yeah, of course your team won again. You were the first pick. And I was like, why would you pick me first? That's crazy. Um, and then that was when we kind of had the conversation of, no, you're one of the guys. Like, you need to start holding yourself in a way that you are one of the guys. Guys are going to start reaching out to you. You're a leader. You're these things where, in my mind, I was viewing myself as still the workhorse that's trying to catch up to everyone.
But that's the point that I'm making. And I think what I'm getting at here is you've led by example.
Yeah.
Like every time you put your head down, I did the same thing. I put my head down, I went to work, I looked up, I'm like, oh, I just got first team All-American. That's amazing. Then you put your head down and go to work again because it's not good enough. But I guess my point is you took the little things that you were struggling with, went, got help from your teammates, stole what they had in the best way,
Mhm.
became great, and then passed it on to the next person. That's the whole point of college sports, in my opinion. Whether you go pro or not, the entire point is become that type of person, and you did. So that's huge. Secondly, obviously, when college comes to an end, and we'll get to your college career a little bit more in a second, but when that comes to an end, you have a decision of, am I going to go pro or am I not? Am I going to go find a 9 to 5? You had that decision. How do you make that decision with your parents kind of looking at you as a college graduate?
Yeah. It was pretty easy for me
Fair.
on that end because our senior class was incredible. There were 7, 8, 9 guys that were all going pro at the same time, and they were all meeting with agents. And I remember going to Coach Jay and being like, "Hey, can you help me get an agent?" And he was like, "Oh, where you're going, you won't need one. I'll just try to help you get a trial with a second, third division team, whatever."
Pause for a second. I see. First off, I know Jay Vidovich. That was not delivered that way.
It wasn't delivered that way.
Also, Coach Jay is one of the best coaches of all time, candidly. And the long-term version of this whole story, he's one of the greatest leader of men of all time, candidly. We're going to talk about this conversation, though, because he does not deliver these messages very easily to understand. Because right now, it sounds like someone's coming for your dream a little bit.
Yeah, and he had basically just told me, these guys are going to the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going there. The things that they need are completely different from the things that you need. And I was like, oh, okay. So I went and talked to my parents and was like, hey, Coach Jay's going to get me a trial with the Charlotte, Charlotte Eagles or the Carolina Railhawks or someone.
That doesn't hit you emotionally. For me, if I were to be like, hear that, I'd be like, nah, like, fuck you. I'm going to go do this now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
At the time, it still, where my mindset was and where my confidence was, it made sense to me.
Fair.
I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like Jared and Talani and these guys, Luca, all these guys they're big time players. I never got all ACC ever, no all region, no, I never even got a team award. I never got anything. So why would I think that I would be a pro, which is the best of the best? I've
Let
never
me
been recognized
let
that
me
way.
pause this one more time. Ironically, and I could be wrong, I'll have to fact check this, what you just said, I'm pretty sure you had the longest MLS career of all of us,
I did.
candidly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
to
did.
where it's we'll go back to this point later, it doesn't matter where your background comes from, it doesn't matter what everyone else says about your performance, you can be phenomenal and a pro for as long as you want. Go ahead.
Yeah. So again, the decision was easy for me because I just went to my parents and I was like, being from Atlanta, I knew some guys that had played for the Atlanta Silverbacks in those same types of leagues,
Mhm.
and I was looking at making $600 a month. And so I told my parents, I was like, "Can you guys support me for 1 year while I go chase the dream and just see what could happen and be a pro for a little bit?" And they're
Te
like,
tell
"Yeah,
me tell me that no, they're not like, yeah, they tell me more of that conversation because you gotta be nervous at that time too. Like, as someone that just graduated college, hey, like, I wanna chase this. To have a family to back you like that's huge, first off, shout out to them. But
yeah,
secondly, to have the courage to say, "Hey, this is real for me. I want this.
yeah,
Will you support it?"
yeah."
Like, tell me about
And
that combo.
in my mind, it was very much like, this is gonna be my one shot. I know I can't do this forever. I'm gonna do it to the best that I can. And my parents are just like, "Yeah, listen, you've done this your whole life." They'd sacrificed their lives, spending all of their money to send me to all these tournaments and camps and whatever. And they're like, "Yes, this is the end. We'll support you to the end of this thing." And I basically was like, if I get a trial, I'm gonna make it. Someone give me a trial. If Coach J helps me get a trial, I'm gonna make it. Um, it didn't. It didn't necessarily turn out that way. I ended up somewhere else, but
But that's the way the world works. It's the whole
yeah,
point of Play Life Beautifully. Like, candidly, like, you have this idea, this is where I wanna go, and then that's okay, well, now it's Charlotte, and then it's Carolina Railhawks, and then it's not any of those things,
yeah,
but look where you end up. Like,
yeah.
you've got your professional career, New York Red Bulls, travel the entire world basically to go play soccer.
Mhm.
Probably better than you coulda dreamed it, realistically, better than you coulda written it yourself. Would you change anything throughout this whole process?
I mean, no, not even a little bit,
Right?
because all of the no's and all of the letdowns and whatever, they all led me to feel like, again, I have to work twice as hard as everyone to get half as much. So when I got to the next level, I was so grateful to even be stepping into the same locker room as some of these guys in MLS. And then all of a sudden I'm starting games as a rookie and I'm like, I have no idea how I'm here, but I'll tell you what, I'm not gonna let anybody down and I'm gonna keep working and dig in and make sure that I'm not the one that is the weak point in the team. And
100%.
eventually you get to the point where not only are you not the weak point, but
You're the one
you're a
leading it.
contributor. Yeah.
It's so very similar as a goalkeeper because if we make mistakes,
Mhm.
it's heightened. Everyone knows that we basically cost the team something. So my whole thing, and I look at this psychologically almost, I felt like anxiety for me as a goalkeeper was helpful. It was almost like I can't mess up right now, so I'm gonna heighten every part of my awareness. I'm watching everything because I can't mess up. That led to obvious success because when the game's over and you can look up and be like, oh yeah, we won 2-0 and we just beat the number 2 team in the country. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Mhm.
For me, I didn't enjoy the game as much as I probably would have now. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I felt like I wasn't playing free, even though I was crushing it. I was first team All American, first goalkeeper drafted, and I'm sitting there freaking out the whole time, and I can't enjoy it. So
Yeah.
for me, it's almost a blessing. Can't believe I'm gonna say that. It's almost a blessing that the game didn't work out for me because now I had to go realize you don't need to be nervous the entire time. You are a performer. You are strong enough to be good at this, and then you enjoy it a little bit more. So outside of the game, I'm finding more joy, and that's awesome. But to take that back to your life inside the game, were you a nervous player? Were you kind of nervous to make mistakes? Do you think that led to success realistically because you're heightened?
Yeah, I was so nervous that for most of my career, like, people listen to pump up music before the games. I would listen to piano music because it was like, I need to slow myself down or I'm gonna have a heart attack.
I
So I was I I was nervous, but I found ways to make it feel like those summers at Wake where, like, we'd be in the tunnel, you hear the fans, 30, 40,000 fans in the stands, like, cheering, and you're waiting to walk out, and it feels like you're about to go to war, and I'm like, "I'm gonna have a heart attack," so I'd have to, like, crack jokes with my friends, and I
for
would make
sure.
sure I was standing in the lineup next to certain people so I could laugh and joke a little bit and try to relax myself and realize, like, I'm playing a game for a living. I'm here for a reason. Every day I'm getting someone is literally paying for me to be here.
For sure.
Someone is paying me to be here, which means I'm getting chosen every day. So why am I not realizing that I'm chosen?
And
You
you're
know?
good enough.
Yeah.
You deserve to be here.
Yeah.
Tell me about how special, Spry is and Wake Forest is as a overall school.
Yeah. Um, I think it's unique in that, like, after Wake, I played with guys that played at all the different colleges, Carolina and Virginia, Akron, all the top schools,
Mm,
and none of them feel about their schools the way I think all of us feel about Wake.
That's kind of how I feel about it too. We call
Yeah.
it the Wake Way, I'm assuming, but I mean, dive into why you think that is.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that Coach Jay did for us was to really beat it into us that this thing that we're a part of is bigger than any of us, and that we are this thing is special and we should be gracious to be a part of it. And
100%.
we can now advance it and grow it and continue the tradition of what's there. But that's the honor that we're presented with. And this is not just Chris Duvall and I play for Wake Forest. It's I get to be a part of this
Well, you
thing.
you see it in the alumni group that we kind of have, we're stewards of playing for Wake Forest. Like Wake Forest is its own thing throughout history, and we're a part of it, and that's awesome. And I don't think that a lot of players that played elsewhere have that. Candidly, it's because we love Wake, obviously.
Mm.
But what Jay did, at least for me, it was a very cold look at where you are at. Be like, yeah, I can hear it. It's like, hey, he called me in the office my freshman year and was like, hey, you're not good enough to play here. As soon as we can, bring in the next goalkeeper, we're going to. And then you're going to get cut. Cold as ice, just like that. You walk out of the office 10 minutes later and your leg, you can't feel your feet. Like you have no idea where you are. You're like, okay. And then that lights a fire under me. And like I said, it changes everything to where I'm going to become worthy of this Wake Forest name.
Mm.
And once you become that, it's able to you get pride out of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So obviously, phenomenal career at Wake Forest. Outside back for most of it. I wanted to talk about the transition from where you started because I know you weren't an outside back. I know a lot of college players struggle with this. When a coach asks you to play any position at Wake Forest University or any Division I program, are you going to basically become that, or are you going to argue with them to try and play yours?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's probably
Yeah.
the right way to word that question, but you know what I'm saying there.
This isn't to say that the coach is always right, and I think coaches make mistakes all the time.
Okay.
But I the way Coach Jay presented it to me, I had finished my freshman year. I had led the team in assists. I was kind of hitting that point where I was like, I think I've made it to the level. Like I'm actually excelling at this. Going into next year, I think I'm going to be a big contributor. Like that's going to be my breakout. And I go into his office at the end of the season, and he was like, "Do you think you had a good year?" I was like, "Yeah." Led the team in assists as a winger. It's a great season. And he was basically like, "You were a relatively warm body in a sea full of cold bodies." I will never forget that statement for the rest of my
I have not heard him say that. That's
life.
wild. Okay.
And I was like, Okay." And he was like, "Any other year in Wake Forest history, you would have never touched the field. And we are going to build this program back to where it has been, which means as long as you are playing the position that you're playing, I don't see you having any future here."
I have a question. Do you think he does that on purpose? Do you think he sees success and is like, I need to manage this and pull the ego back a little bit and give them renewed reason to kind of chase forward? Because I think he's seen probably a number of prima donnas ahead of time that kind of come through as like, all right, I scored 10. Next year, I don't have to do anything. I'm the man now, or whatever it is. Do you think that's his way of basically saying, hey, keep your ego where it should be because you're not the man yet? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's hard because you're tiptoeing a line between like, is he legitimately brilliant to be able to give every individual exactly what they need?
True.
Or is he just doing what's best for what he thinks is best for the program? And sometimes he gets it right and sometimes he gets it wrong. I've talked to him pretty recently
Okay.
and I hated him for like a decade more because of the way I felt like I was unfairly treated because I wasn't arrogant and I
Mhm.
was just like, just give me a compliment, dude. Like, please, please let me have
Something.
a little confidence, you know? And I've spoken to him more recently, and I do think he does what he does on purpose.
Mhm. I'm
I
not
don't
saying it works every time, but
yeah,
I think there's a reasoning behind it.
I think he, as a good coach, tries to give every player what they need. Um, and of course, yeah, I think he gets it wrong sometimes, but I do think with me, it was a combination of he didn't think I was good enough,
Fair? Okay.
which I think he now assesses and knows that he was wrong. But I also think he thought that I could take it, what he was dishing out.
I think he does, like, a test to see, like,
Yeah,
if you actually can handle what he's gonna give out,
yeah.
which happens for sure.
And I think both of which led to my career. Like knowing that he thought I wasn't good enough, and then also the way he treated me was like every day. It's like I'm proving him wrong. I have to be perfect. I have to be a perfectionist. Everything has to be exactly right, which means I have to work on my own time
Mhm.
to make sure that I can get those things right. And then also, I need to prove him wrong. So every day, I've now trained myself that in training, I have to be perfect, and also I have to be I have to be excellent. I have to catch your eye every day.
Do you hear can you hear him smiling right now? Like, do you hear what you just said? Like, that's
Yeah.
what every coach wants to hear, right? Is like, "I
Yeah.
have to be perfect, I have to prove him wrong, and I have to basically make sure that I'm not the one that's causing an issue for this team,"
Yeah.
which you never were, but, like, my point is that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, it's you got Mr. Miyagi from The
Yeah.
Karate Kid, like,
Yeah.
low key, as we
Yeah.
all did, because that's he's seen the game for 30 years or however long he's seen it.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about why or like, at least I think, that type of experience before becoming a pro is incredibly necessary. Going to college and basically overcoming coaches like that, not overcoming, but working with coaches like that in programs like Wake or any Division 1 or 2 program or 3 program is necessary to actually become a pro, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that was everything for my longevity of my career because the beauty of college sports is that I mean, I guess it's changed now that they're being paid, but which is a great thing, but
Yeah.
regardless, we were everything we did was for the team in college. Everything. It was like I want to win a national championship with my team and I have to do my part. In the pros, it's there's so many different motivations and so many different reasons why people are there to provide for their family, to send money home, to be great, to be the greatest that ever did it. Winning a championship is so low on the totem pole for so many people that in a lot of ways you are just on your own. Like in every way, it is you taking 100% charge of your development and however far you're going to take, not even development, however far you're going to take this thing as a pro athlete. And so having that mentality in college of needing to be perfect and needing to prove someone wrong every day, it's an individualist mindset at the time that was directed towards helping the team.
Mhm.
In the pros, you need that same individualist mindset to be perfect, or else they're just going to pay someone else.
For sure.
Um, and so I think that that mindset and being able to prove it every single day helped me as not a star in my professional career to be able to come in and prove to people that hey, if you're on my team in training, you're going to win. And that's every day. You know you're gonna be on the winning team every day. And so then when the end of the season comes and it's time to negotiate a contract, it's like, who can point to a day where I wasn't either the winner or the hardest worker or the one that's actually doing what needs to be done to reach whatever anyone's next goal is? Like,
The proof's there. The
yeah,
numbers are
the
there.
proof's there. And whether I was good enough or not, or you think you could do better than me, that's a whole different story because there were better players out there. But
Well, I mean, there are better players everywhere. Like we need to
yeah.
basically be coaching a number of different areas in this country to build this game up even more because we're not hitting enough of them. That's a different
Yeah.
conversation. But there are better players for sure. But the outworking that you kind of did to continue in your professional career is what led to a long, version of that. I guess what I want to get into on that though is again, the game is changing. We saw it a little bit in our kind of upbringing, but people at 20 wanted to go leave college earlier, just forego college. I guess what I'm really getting at is I think college is necessary not just for the mentality, but to get used to the pace of the game and to allow for your body to fully develop. As an 18 to 20-year-old, you're not fully there. I put on 30 pounds of muscle, probably closer to 20 realistically, since the end of my soccer career. You're not fully developed as a physical specimen, in my opinion, at 18 years old. And you're not going to the MLS to deal with somebody like you or me who's ready and you're not going to develop there, in my opinion. So
Mhm.
I think college is actually incredibly important. And yes, pay them. That's awesome. Give them a little bit of something because $20 to me in college was $1,000 now,
Huge.
right? So give them a little bit of money, but make them develop and make some type of rule similar to, is it the NBA or the NFL where you can't go until junior or senior year? I think it's the NFL.
Yeah.
Make some type of rule because we want to develop this game. We want to be competing in World Cups properly, but we need to be actually doing that the right way, in my opinion. Do you think there's a difference in college and professional sports,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. I probably made some enemies in my professional career
Okay.
because we would have these academy kids that were 15, 16 that were like incredible, incredible. And they'd be on the verge of signing first team deals. And I would go to them in the locker room and be like, don't do that. That is a horrible idea. Because yes, they want to lock you in as one of their players, but the league is set up with a salary cap and with spending rules that make every single team in the league feel like they can win the league this year, which means every single game is a championship game.
Mhm.
Great for viewership, horrible for the players because every single game is important. You run yourself ragged, and that means that this 16-year-old, 17, 18-year-old needs to prove today that they are better than the 28-year-old at the job right now because we have to win today. And they don't care about developing you. Oh, this is going to be a good learning experience for you so that 2, 3 years down the road, you can take his job. They don't care because they need to win right now. And
Correct.
everybody's job is on the line.
Correct.
So,
Well, and as the player receiving that, all they want is to post it on Instagram and tell their friends, like, hey, I just went pro. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, you did, kind of.
yeah,
But how long is that going to last?
yeah,
Are there outliers? Yes. Are there a number of people that have gone overseas and made it at 16 to 18? Absolutely.
yeah,
If you're not one of them, you need to recognize that and put the work in, and you'll end up right next to them or further along, in my opinion. Is that
yeah.
fair?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of like most of these kids that are signing deals at 16, 17, 18 are signing 3 or 4 year deals,
Mm-hmm.
which means that by the end of their first deal, they'll be around the same age that they would be coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
And you're betting on yourself that you're going to be a better player having no one trying to develop you over the next 4 years just by training with first team players and maybe getting a game or two.
Well, let me ask you this. I played summer ball. I played
Mhm.
USL over the summer. I played semi-pro. Is that level anywhere near the MLS?
No, it's not.
Respectfully to the
Yeah,
USL.
yeah, it's not.
Respectfully, it's not. Is it better than college? Yes, probably.
Yeah,
The speed and the pace and the strength necessary to play at a professional level, you cannot reach unless you're God gifted and have the technical ability or you've put the time in. I think you need to put the time in to make sure. That's just the way I look at it.
yeah.
Pushing on forward, though, I mean, obviously, your draft day kind of comes through. Tell me kind of the entire process through that. Obviously, you've got Vidi that's kind of telling you, hey, we're going to put you with Charlotte. We're going to put you in Carolina. You're a USL. This is who
Mhm.
you are. Obviously, that's not how things went for you. So tell me how you made it to that point and what kind of conversations were had, who you met.
Yeah, so when I was walking out of that meeting with Coach Jay about getting an agent, and he was telling me that I didn't need one. Our assistant coach Ryan Martin, who's now the head coach of Oakland in USL, he grabbed me and was like, "I've got a buddy who we're drinking buddies. We used to hang out or whatever. Um, he is an agent and he's never heard of you, but I'll tell him to help you out." So I call the guy, and he was just like, "Yeah, I've never seen you play. I've watched your school 1,000 times, so I guess I have seen you, but you never stood out to me, or whatever. I hope you get invited to one of these smaller combines." So he pushed for me to get invited to Real Salt Lake's combine. They had their own private combine of rejects, basically.
And what's going through your mind at this point?
The agent basically told me to be the fittest person there because there will be a fitness test.
Mhm.
And that would be the easiest way to stand out because everyone there should be about the same level.
Talking to the right guy, because I remember this guy's dude. Side note, real quick, I have to say it. The fitness test at Wake Forest, I never passed it because it's freaking stupid. 2 miles in 12 minutes. Take a 10-minute break. That's in force. You have to take a 10-minute break the way I remembered it, which makes you more tired for the third mile. That you have to run in 5 minutes and 30 seconds. What was your fastest time? Because it's dumb. You and Ross always led it. and it was
Yeah.
something like 16.
We were under 16,
Of
I
course you
think
were. I hate
usually,
you.
or right around there.
Oh my god. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. So be the your advice right now is be the fittest person there, which you are already naturally going to be because of the work that you've done, like behind the scenes, realistically.
Yeah.
But that's what your agent's telling you. What are
Yeah.
you thinking right now? Because in my head, like if I were to be experiencing this, I'd be like, man, this matters. It's my last shot. Like
Yeah.
I have to be successful here, which would make me nervous. I'm not saying you were, because I don't think you were.
Mm.
But what's going through your head without anyone else telling you anything?
My thought process was there's 4 rounds in the MLS draft. Um, Salt Lake is probably holding this combine to find one player that they'll take a flyer on in the last round and just see what happens.
Okay.
So if I do something that stands out to them during this 4 days, then maybe they'll take a chance on me.
Okay.
So of the 100 players that are going to be here, I just have to do something that stands out to them. And our teammate Talani also went to this combine.
Oh, nice.
He was actually invited. I just got added late, I guess. But we got there and we had a training session. And literally halfway through the training session, me and Talani are looking at each other and we're like, these guys, this is the level? None of these guys would have ever touched the field at Wake Forest. Like, what are we doing here? And the Salt Lake coaches kind of felt the same way.
Mhm.
And literally after the first we hadn't played a game or anything. After the first training session, they took me aside. They took me to the gym and were like, we're gonna do some tests. And we did like a sprint test, a jumping test, and they were testing my physical attributes privately. Because
While that's happening, like, I mean, you can piece that together. You've been an athlete before. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, you pull me aside a little bit to check my vertical, check my sprint, whatever else.
yeah,
What do you think? Are you starting to piece it together? Like maybe they're taking a look,
yeah.
and does that make it more pressure filled or less?
More excited
Okay.
because I was like, this is day one. I clearly did something. I don't know what it was, but I did something. I think the rest of these guys here are not very good. I now have 3 more days to not mess it up.
True. True.
You know? By the end of the week, they had told me that they were interested and that they wanted to see what I could do against better competition. So there was a senior combine, like the main combine, and they were like, there's some guys dropping out for health reasons or,
Sure.
Whatever, conflicts. We're going to try to push and see if we can get you added to the combine. And the combine was like the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a call from the airport, like on my way home from this combine,
Mm-hmm.
Asking me if I was interested in coming to the senior combine. I was like, yeah, of course.
Naturally.
So then I told this guy, Andrew Greger, who was, he wasn't my agent. He didn't sign me to anything because he didn't know me. But I called him and was like, so now I'm getting invited to the combine. What do I do now? And he was like, well, there will be 77 players drafted. There are 78 players invited to the combine. Don't be the worst one.
I mean, simple enough at that point, right? Simple
Yeah.
enough. I mean, that would light a fire under me, like hearing that. Be like, damn straight I won't be. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, my experience very different. Obviously, I came back for a redshirt year, which I didn't really want to do. But I felt like I really wanted a national championship, and I wanted to really just cement my name kind of in Wake Forest soccer. Came back, great year, All-American year, 4 knee surgeries kind of during it. Unfortunately, we lose the national championship. I had 4 or 5 kind of agents my junior year, kind of reaching out, just feelers, see how things are going, and then did get invited to the main MLS combine that I didn't go to because I had 4 knee surgeries. So I was one of those dropouts. Same type of situation. I will say I do know the smaller combines. I do know the competition that you're talking about for sure is kind of exactly where you said it was. Take me through the senior combine. Because once that happens, like once you've built into this, now it's real. Like when rewind 2 weeks and it's Vidi. Vidi's like, no, you're not playing. 2 weeks pass, you're actually at the combine with a pretty decent shot to get drafted.
Yeah.
Has anything changed in your mental?
No, in my mind, I'm still pushing to hopefully be as good as everyone else around me.
And this is what makes you great. That's why it was a loaded question.
No.
Is because you're about to accomplish the dream. You're about to get drafted. You've been given every single level of like, hey, you're good enough to be here.
Yeah.
But what makes you great is, am I? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Let me go put the work in the present moment and be great consistently. And that's what led to you being drafted in what round?
Yeah, I was the 3rd pick of the 2nd round.
Damn straight.
Yep.
Does that feel good to say? I mean, I
Yeah,
felt like hearing it,
yeah,
it should, right?
yeah, and it was a shock, and the odd part is, again, I went to the combine just trying not to be the worst one. It was the exact same scenario as the Salt Lake combine where after one training session, I looked around and was like, "This is it? This is all that these guys stink. Like, this is all that's out there?
No comment.
How was I like again, I'm sitting here watching these guys and I'm like, none of them would have ever played at Wake Forest. I was fighting. I got benched twice for long periods of time in my senior year at Wake. And now
For
I'm
freshman or sophomore? It's underclassmen, right? Or for
yeah,
younger
for younger
players?
players,
Yeah, that's
for
my
younger
point.
players. And now I'm sitting here at this combine with the supposedly the best 78 players in the entire country. And I'm like, this is it?
That's it.
This is crazy,
That's it.
And so by the end of the combine, Coach Jay was there, and I remember him sitting me down and being like, "I think you're one of the best players here." And I was like, "That's the craziest. This is the craziest moment of my whole life." And my agent was telling me to book a flight to Philly for the draft because he was like, "You're going to be a first round pick and whatever." And even then, I was like, "Dude, 3 days ago, I was going to be paying for a trial somewhere. No, I'm not going to, get the flight." But fast forward to the draft, and after the teams that I met with, like Chicago had, I think, like the 7th or 8th pick. Uh, Toronto had a pick around there. Chivas had told me if I'm there at number 19, 100% they're taking me. And so I'm like, in my mind, still thinking this is crazy. I don't belong here. But I'm also still watching the draft saying if the 8th pick comes around, I might get picked. It doesn't make any sense. But um, when all of those teams kind of passed, I was like, okay, yeah, this
So it's
this
a
is where I
roller
need to be.
coaster.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, stoicism is a big buzzword these days. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like I found stoicism through this process because you're going up and down the entire time of like, I'm making it,
Yeah.
I'm not making it. Maybe,
Yeah.
and then eventually, you do get drafted and you
Yeah.
do hear your name called. I know what the moment feels like, but take me through it.
Yeah. I ended up having meetings with, I think, 15 of the 19
Let me
clubs.
interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
Where were you when you got drafted? You said you didn't fly out. So
I was at
where
home
did you go?
with my family,
Okay.
just sitting on the couch watching the draft on ESPN. And yeah, we had a list of teams that we thought that I might get picked by because at the combine I had meetings with 14 of the 19 teams, which they like. Most of the meetings were, "Who are you? Why haven't I heard of you?"
Right.
Um,
What was your answer to that, actually?
I don't know. I've just been here, man. Like,
Where you been watching? No,
yeah,
fair enough.
I've
Fair
been on
enough.
the same team as all the other guys that you've been looking at. But thankfully, my year, everyone was looking for fullbacks. Everyone was looking for my position. It was a weak point in the league at the time, so my position was at a premium.
Mhm.
And of the 14 teams I met with, Red Bull was not one of them.
Interesting.
So when when Chivas picked Tommy McNamara, I was like, well, that was it. Everyone that was interested in me has had a pick. I'm not gonna get picked. And then Red Bull was like the very next pick, and we weren't even really paying attention. And Alexi Lawless was the announcer, and he was like, "Yeah, Red Bull's really got a need at right back. I think they'll go for someone. I think Chris Duvall is the best right back on the board left." And we like kind of perked up and looked at the TV. We were like, "What?" And then the phone rang, and they called me, and then they picked me, and I was just like shocked. My whole yeah, I was shocked. I just remember being in my basement and like trying to act calm and cool on the phone, talking to Red
Yeah.
Bull's head coach and having no idea who he was because they weren't one of the teams that interviewed me. And yeah,
It's a big moment.
it's a big moment.
As it
Yeah.
should be. As it should be. I want first off, if I haven't said it before, I'll say it publicly. Congrats. I mean, it's
Yeah,
sick.
thank you.
Absolutely sick. Tell me more on the Rebels in general. So, like, obviously, you hear your name, and then you realize it's like, no, you didn't get drafted. You got invited to a tryout.
Yeah.
You got invited to basically potentially be signed.
Mhm.
So it's just another combine for you, and it's the same mentality. I'm assuming. How quickly do you celebrate for the night and then kind of go, or how quickly do you kind of regroup to really chase that?
Yeah, and it was almost the exact same conversation with my agent, who, as of now, at that point, he was like, "Hey, you should sign these papers." Like, I'm gonna be here. It's like, yeah, okay. But I had the same conversation with him. He was like, "You should view this the same way you viewed that combine, that very first combine. You need to win the fitness test,
Hmm.
and that's your way to stand out from the beginning. Because coming in, Red Bull had gotten rid of their starting right back. They had just signed a big money player in my position, so they had 2. You don't really need a 3rd one,
Sure.
but it'd be nice to have a young one to develop because they didn't really, like, love the 2 guys that they had.
Sure.
And so he's like, "Win the fitness test and then just be you, do exactly what you've done in the last 2 combines, and I'm sure you'll do enough to get there."
Separate yourself.
And I was like, "Okay," Red Bull at the time had played the least minutes for young players in the league. It was Thierry Henry's team. It was Peggy Luyandula, Tim Cahill, these big time World Cup players,
Mhm.
no young players. And I got in on day 1. We did a 3v3 tournament. It was me, Eric Stevenson, who was the other guy that got drafted with me,
Mhm.
and a trialist that was a rookie on a team. Thierry Henry, Tim Cahill, and Dax McCarty were also one of the 3v3
That seems
teams.
pretty fair.
And they matched us up against them first. And it was like 40-0. Like,
Sure.
I've never gotten beat in my life the way we got beat in that 3v3 tournament. And that was like a rude awakening. It was just like, I understand that those are like Thierry Henry is one of the best players in the history of soccer.
Yeah.
But there are levels to this, and it was the same realization as at Wake, where it's like, I am not even close. I am so far behind.
For sure. Same
Now,
fire
what do I
lit
need
though?
to do?
Same fire of like, okay, well, I'm not losing again like that. I'm assuming, or no. Like when that happens, like does that same competitive like, nah, I can't be that guy anymore.
I mean, that moment was a bit hopeless.
Okay, fair. Fair.
It was like,
It's your welcome to the pros. I need a second. This is TT Henry doing this to me.
yeah.
All right, fair.
It's like I will never. There's a chance I will probably never be that, but I have to at least be able to get myself to the point where I'm gonna face players like that from other teams. I have to be able to prove that I'm not gonna
back down
lose
from
it
that.
for us.
No.
Yeah. So it was always just it lit the fire, but I think I was always like running from the negative instead of like viewing the positive. Like, I don't want to be that.
Okay.
So let me figure out how to not be that, and in the process I end up getting the positive.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So, but that's what I meant by like the anxiety a little bit is like the word I use, but like almost like avoiding the fear to get the goal at the end, which kind of makes sense to me. So obviously Red Bulls, the pace of the game changes. You're looking around at some of the people that you probably played FIFA with, like growing up. Is there any starstruckness, or is it, hey, I'm here, like I'm ready to compete with you?
Yeah.
Starstruck's probably not the right word, but like you know who you're playing with, I guess. Like, and it's.
Oh, you're very aware.
It's what I mean.
You're very aware, and if Thierry asks for the ball, you give him the ball.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Pretty simple one.
He is not open. He is probably not the right choice in the moment. There's probably better choices, but Thierry asks for the ball. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give Thierry the ball.
Okay.
And it probably ends up being the right choice because he's gonna do something with it.
Was there a story there? Did you guys like interact relatively well, or?
Yeah, off the field, he was the best. He was the best, and he cared so much about everyone around him, and he would do things for the whole group and throw parties for us so that we could get together and bond. And he was good to the young players. He was like the clown of the locker room. He was funny. He was fun. I did not have a big relationship with him because I was starstruck. I was like, I can't just be sitting in the locker room talking to Thierry Henry,
Sure.
On the field, we had an interesting relationship because I broke through into the starting lineup pretty early in the season.
Okay.
And everyone knew this was his last season.
Tell me about the breakthrough first, real quick.
Yeah.
Like what kind of happened? So obviously, like a team that you didn't expect drafts you. They've got 2 players in that position as well. One of which is designated player or close to that. Like
he was
up there.
He was making a lot.
He was starting.
Yeah,
he was starting realistically.
Yeah.
So a team that you didn't expect, that situation, and now you find yourself in the starting lineup again. Like you're the kid that probably wasn't supposed to be here, but you're here. Like based off of your storyline. Yeah. How does that happen to you?
So now in hindsight, when I look back, some of the things that I did to avoid, in my mind, to avoid turning over the ball were like outrageous. Like, if I now as a coach saw a player do the things that I used to do, I'd be like, "That there was so much risk in what you just did, you shouldn't do that." But it was incredible what you know? Um, and so just a little story that Andy Roxburgh was the GM at the time, or the technical director, and he told me that they decided to sign me during one of our preseason games against Orlando City. And I I had gotten subbed on with like 15 minutes left, and someone played like a long 50, 60-yard switch ball to me,
Mhm.
and I was under pressure as I received the ball. And so in my mind, I thought the only way to not turn over this ball is for my first touch out of the air to flick it over the guy that's coming to defend me and
'Cause
receive it on the
that's
inside.
so simple to do, dude. That's just an easy one.
And so I did it, and I run around him, and the whole field opens up, and I just connect a pass, and it was in my mind, it was like, it was simple. That was the only way out.
Flow state, I'm assuming. Like,
I
mind turns off
guess.
a little bit, first touch perfect.
Yeah, I guess. And I did that at Wake all the time because sometimes that was the only way to get out of it.
Mhm.
And the first time I tried it, I'm sure I messed it up, but then I would just practice it. So then it was like, I have to be able to do this because it's the only way to get out.
Well, on the inverse of that, so, like, this is I mean, it's ironically, Henri talks about it, but, like, people devalue the skills of a footballer, like, to be
Yeah.
honest. For you to take the ball like that, and as a goalkeeper, I'm sitting there like, "Don't ever do that, ever." Like, just don't do that, please. Is ridiculous. And the direct quote from Henri is like the 50-yard diagonal ball that goes over the outside or goes over the outside back but drops dead on the winger's foot
Mhm.
before the line is ridiculous. People don't understand how difficult that is to do. People don't understand how difficult that first touch is,
Yeah.
but we make it look easy.
Yeah.
That is so you were saying that's why you got signed is because of something like that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
what's also clear before you go on, I practiced it.
Yeah.
That's the key. Like we started this whole conversation of I would steal stuff from other players.
Mhm.
I would take them out to the field. I would practice it, learn it, and then fast forward 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. That moment is what gets you signed.
Mhm.
That's the direct correlation. You see, you're smiling. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. People don't know that. Everyone else thinks it's how many Instagram followers do I have? Did coach see me score this banger in the last minute?
Yeah.
No, it's the simple 5-yard ball or the right decision being made by the right player. That's what's going to get your name on that paper.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So you get drafted, you get through this entire process, you break into the starting lineup by doing your job and putting your head down and doing the basic things of falling in love with the process,
Mhm.
and now you're playing with Thierry Henry. Tell me more about that relationship. Obviously, he wants the ball at all times.
Yeah.
I know the story a little bit, but I wanna hear it from you, from your words.
Yeah. I mean, he has a standard that he has to be perfect, but also everyone around him needs to have a standard that we've kind of I had never experienced a standard of perfection that high,
Okay.
you know? My standard of perfection was I can't turn over the ball. I have to make the right decision. I have to, do these things. I have to win my one-on-one. His standard of perfection is so far above that because I'm coming in with this mentality of perfection already, and it's not even close to what his is. And so, um, you know, there was one day where I mean, I could tell so many. I actually, there was one day where we were playing small sided,
Okay.
and I was a bumper on the outside. And if they play the ball to you, you have 2 touches to now hit a cross. You have to hit a cross in, and crossing is a big part of my job.
For sure, for sure.
I put the cross in.
Real quick, just so people know, bumper on the outside means there's people in the game that are playing possession, and then on the outside, they can pass it to them as a one-touch pass. Just so you guys know. Go ahead.
Um, and so I overhit the cross. It goes out of bounds. His team turns the ball over. He doesn't play the rest of the game. He just stands in one spot staring me down, and I'm like trying not to make eye contact with him, and after the game ends, he comes over to me and he goes, "When was the last time you hit your target on a cross?" And I was like, 5 minutes ago. Like, I don't know. He's like, "No, it's been weeks. You should be training that every day." And I was like, "Okay." It was like April. It was like 100 degrees. That was a hard day of training. Training ends. We circle up. We stretch. We roll out. We go inside. Our starting striker at the time, Bradley Wright Phillips, catches me at the door and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "What do you mean I'm going inside?" And he was like, "You need to get back out there and go hit some crosses. Thierry told you to go hit crosses. He's been watching from the window for the last 20 minutes while you stretched and rolled out and you aren't taking his advice. He tore up the locker room because you're ungrateful, whatever. And I was like, I am gassed. I have nothing left in my legs. Like, he was like, I don't care what you do. We're all going to die if you don't go out there and hit some crosses. So the bags had already been packed up. I went over to the shed. I grabbed 50 balls from the shed. Everyone else in the whole team is gone inside, recovery, whatever they need to do, eating lunch. And I hit crosses until I saw Thierry's car leaving the parking lot. And then I collected all the balls. Hit crosses to nobody, by the way. Collected all the balls, went inside, did my ice bath, everything, took care of my body. And that became like my habit.
The new standard of perfection was set. Before you get into the next part of the story, one thing. Two players. Probably two of the biggest names that I know from that team, realistically, outside of you, because I know you. They're both holding you accountable to a different standard. That level of perfection has now been raised, and you're meeting it, which will lead to good things down the line. But I just want to point that out. It takes the top guy to tell everyone else too. How quickly did you follow suit? How you one day didn't pass. You went out there that day. Yeah. You had two teammates that hold you accountable. That's important for every other team out there. If you're the top guy, everyone else is your responsibility. That's part of it. And see what happens. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so that became my habit. I would hit. For a long time, it was until I saw Thierry's car leave the parking lot would be how long I would hit, crosses.
Hey, I respect it. I respect it.
But eventually, I only played with him for 1 year. Mm-hmm. But from then on, it was, I'm going to hit, today was a hard day, so I only hit 50 crosses. But on easier days, I'll hit 75 crosses a day. And it was like, I had a number. Hey, today I'm going to hit this many crosses. And there would be times where the coaches would come to me and be like, hey, today was a recovery day. You need to be prepared for the game on Saturday. And I'd be like, no. Like, first of all, Thierry told me. So he trumps you. But True. Also, this is how I get to where I need to go. Like, I have to hit these crosses. And by the end of my career, I think that was a big piece of why I was getting jobs. Like, I could put a cross where I want it.
For sure.
So, from any depth in the field, from any angle to any part of the field, I felt like I could hit the crosses to where I wanted them, and I think that gets me it adds an extra couple years to my career.
Without a doubt. From someone saying, hey, go put more work in. And you told me before, I know you did, but you found him for an assist as well relatively, soon after that, correct?
Yeah, it was my first assist was to him.
Wow. That's how it should be. I mean, that's sick. That's sick. So, obviously, you start to cement yourself into one of the bigger programs in the MLS. Didn't expect to get drafted by them. Didn't go to the combine until later. Now you're here. What's the next step? Like, what's I guess success by some standard can be an enemy at some point because, like, hey, I made it. And that ego that was keeping you in check of, like, hey, I got to be better than this. I can't be that. It can go away a little bit because you've made it. Does that happen to you at all or not really? Does that make sense as a question?
Yeah, okay. It does make sense. And that didn't happen to me at all.
Never? Okay.
Because there was always something that I was striving for. In the beginning, it was let me just make the team. Correct. And then it was you always just kind of push the goalpost because it's never far enough.
But that's what I mean. That success, like once you hit, it's like, well, now I have to get even more.
Yeah.
Like it's addictive.
Yeah. So then it's let me make the team. I need to be a starter. That's not good enough because if I'm not a starter, then I'm dispensable, and then I lose the thing that I got. And then once I'm a starter, it's like, well, I want to be in the national team. Like that's the real dream.
For sure.
And then you always just you can enjoy where you're at, but also realize this isn't enough, and you keep doing the work to push towards the next thing.
So that joy is so momentary. Like I can't remember who says it, but success is at one moment. Everything else is the work up to success, and that process is important because it allows you to feel that, which I'm sure you felt. That assist to Thierry Henry, the first one. That sentence itself is stupid. That assist to Thierry Henry is dumb. That happens. It feels amazing.
Yeah.
I know you. You already mentioned it. National team is what you want. Mm-hmm. How does that come to fruition for you? I know the pathway a little bit, but tell everybody else.
Yeah. So my second season, Jesse Marsh came in. His system fit me perfectly. And I was playing well. I scored my first career goal at New York City FC.
Crosstown rivalry.
Yep. And in Yankee Stadium. It was the game winner. After the game, my agent calls me and says, "Yeah, I was at the game, and um, you know, the national team's gonna call to invite you to camp." And I was like, "Holy smokes, this is crazy." And he was like, "Just do exactly what you're doing. They got big games this summer. They're probably gonna hold off. You're gonna come to camp in January." And then that happens. Um, and 4 days later, I break my leg in an Open Cup game, so I never actually made it to camp. Um, and I never honestly, my career changed. I was never the same, so I don't think I ever deserved to be called in again.
Talking
But
to the right guy on that one. No,
no,
I know how that goes. Like, it steps slower. I'm not saying you were, but I felt
yeah,
it for myself. And then there's that question of, can you come back from this again,
yeah,
realistically? Which obviously you made some level of a comeback. And tell me about that, because I know the mental side of that hits pretty heavily.
yeah. I mean,
Not to interrupt you, but especially right before the big thing, right?
yeah,
Because like for me, it's, hey, you're getting drafted this year, like realistically, and then you're not.
yeah,
And for you, it's the precipice, like the premier level of, hey, this is the national team, and then it's kind of taken away. Mentally, there's a part of that people don't talk about, but obviously the physical was pretty big as well. Take
yeah,
me through the U.S. Open Cup, because I know part of that story is, and it has to be said, those aren't the biggest games for
yeah,
pros. It's one where you probably could have taken off realistically, or not had to have played. And I'm sure that you think about that, like realistically, because I've had to think about it for my own life. Has that happened to you?
yeah. I think the way to sum it up perfectly is the conversation I had with Jesse Marsh, my head coach at the time, in the hospital after the game. So I break my leg in the game. We were up like 4-0 against a lower division team, and um, the 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 reality hadn't set in yet. I was still like happy. I was like, it's all gonna be fine, whatever. I knew I was gonna have surgery the next day and whatever.
Sure.
Jesse's told me that him and his wife had prepared for me to be like devastated because I was at the highest of highs and now it was over.
Sure.
And they walked into the hospital and I was like high on drugs, face full of spaghetti, like happy as anything. Like, oh hey Jesse, how's it going? Um, and I just remember him telling me that the tackle that I went into that I broke my leg was naive. And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he
Interesting.
was like, "You were never gonna win that tackle." And I was like, "I win every tackle."
I mean, that's my outside back saying that. I love that,
Yeah.
but I get it.
And I know it's not true, but in my mind, I felt like I had to believe that I could win every tackle because otherwise I'm just not gonna go in. And then that's the edge that I needed to be as good as everyone else. I had to be
I like that mindset, candidly. But go ahead.
Yeah, I had to be perfect. I have to be able to win every tackle or else I'm done for and my career's gonna end. And so then I go into an unwinnable tackle in hindsight and snap my leg in half, and then yeah, I mean that changed me. But I don't think I
I,
felt
I
the
can't let you off.
sadness
I
until
can't let you off.
later.
That changed you. It changed you. That's the core of this. It
Yeah,
changes you. It
it
does
does.
change you. You have to. And not saying you don't admit it. You do admit it. But
Yeah,
tell me more about that change, because that is something I've lived, that so many people can resonate with. Candidly, there's so many people that either were about to make it
mhm,
or had it all taken away from them at the last second, and they're still trying to figure out what that change means for them. So that change, it obviously it's not as quick in your life to where it's like the game's over for you,
yeah,
but there's a shift, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean that 11 months of recovery was the hardest thing I've ever been through. And I had to start going to therapy, not just physical therapy, but like therapy for my mind and um,
If you're willing, I'll edit it. If you're not,
yeah,
I would love to dive into the mindset thing of that. But if you're not, don't feel pressure to.
yeah. So I got I was diagnosed with like a very mild case of PTSD.
Okay.
Um, from the day that I had my surgery for the next 3 months, anytime I closed my eyes, whether it was like a daydream or a nap or in the middle of the night at bed, I would dream of the moment I broke my leg. And it was the sound of the break that really messed me up. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was just like, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I would be drenched in sweat and I'd have to change my sheets while I'm on crutches and, whatever. And so I just stopped sleeping.
Okay.
Um, and I would go to rehab and I would lose my mind on my trainers and just not be myself because I
Because
was sleep deprived.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair, right? And
Yeah.
well, you're sleep deprived, you're stressed, and you're built to do one thing that you can't do anymore. Like,
Mhm.
and that's what you love to do. We don't have to
Yeah.
dive any deeper into that. Thank you first off for sharing that with
No.
me. I appreciate you. I know it changes you as a person because I've dealt with it myself. I know it sucks. I also know your story even further. So obviously you
Mhm.
continue to play. And we can dive into that as well at a later date. I want to dive into your life after the game a little bit.
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, continue to play for the Red Bulls, decorated career all over. We had the Timbers, we had FC Cincinnati, and Montreal as well. But did I miss one? I don't think so. I think it's probably the wrong order though. I think it was
Yeah. You're
yeah.
good.
So realistically, played throughout, and then now you're out in St. Louis, is where we are now, working in kind of the mortgage industry. Wanted to dive into how you found that, what you're kind of doing in it, and how you've basically translated everything that you've learned from sports, from soccer, from everything else into being successful outside of the game.
Yeah. So when I was playing for Houston, I decided to start my MBA because you have plenty of free time as a soccer player. And through that, I knew that I wanted to get into sales, into something sales. I ended up, I when I retired, I got into coaching, and so I moved to St. Louis to help coach with their developmental professional team.
Mhm.
Um, and I bought a house when I got here, and the process was miserable and bumpy in every way, and I was just angry the whole time and stressed, and I couldn't believe that everyone does this when they buy a house. And um, I basically was like, there has to be a better way. And so I met a guy that was in mortgage sales that kind of taught me about the process. And I was like, oh, yeah, I just had a bad lender who was not doing the job well.
Mhm.
So I decided to take my tests and take the classes and get into the job. And I can now, sell loans anywhere in the country. But most of the job that I love is being able to help people understand the process and what it looks like so that you don't have to buy a loan through me. Like, I understand that that's how I'm making a living, but you can buy a loan through anyone and actually understand what it is that's happening because there are a lot of crooks out there and there are a lot of people that are bad at their job
Sure.
that this is the biggest purchase of your entire life. You want someone that you feel like is in your corner, and I feel like I can be that partially because, I am competitive and I want to beat that slime ball that is trying to sling loans in a bad way, but also because like, it's a job where you actually get to care about people, which I really love.
So everything's translated. Like,
Yeah.
you're competitive. It's numbers based. The proof is in the progress.
Mm.
You're also bringing people along for that process. You fell in love with the process, and I've seen it firsthand over the past 8 to 10 months. You're successful.
Mm.
Based off the conversation we had earlier today, the number, I'm not going to say the actual number, but you're improving your sales,
Mm.
and they're very high,
Mhm.
candidly, to where it's everything that you've done from start to finish is translated into the next thing that you do. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to kind of just be along for the ride and be able to talk to you through it. So I appreciate your time, bro.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. More than anything, I'm excited to reconnect with you and, be able to do this, but it's been really fun.
Dude, back at you, bro. Back at you.
Yeah.
Everybody, Chris Duvall, appreciate your time, and I will shout out your socials on the post.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you, thank you.